All these fashion brands that you see on the screen right now together make more than 20,000 crores in yearly revenues. All of them are category disrupting brands that have transformed the Indian fashion market. And these are brands in clothing, footwear, jewelry, and even eyewear for that matter. So if you've ever been curious about how to build a fashion brand from scratch in India, then this video is for you, as we'll cover a mix of strategies and also insights used by not just the big legacy brands with large scale, but also the new age hyper-growing D2C startups. And if you're new to the channel, then hello, you've landed at GrowthX, an invite-only community of over 3,000 members who are product, marketing, and business leaders, and also founders from the startup ecosystems. We teach our members how to scale revenues with frameworks and structures, and we make videos like these to break down the insights that have worked for the best of the best businesses in India. And to do this, we've spent hundreds of hours researching and speaking to the top founders and operators to make this video the ultimate playbook for how to build mega fashion brand in India. So today in this video, we share the 7 key insights on how you can nail scale and store level execution like giants like Zudio and FabIndia, how you can decide on the SKU level approach like Comet, solve for repeatability like Neemans, solve for trust like Caratlane, positioning like Lenskart, and so much more. So let's dive into the first step of nailing the repeatability of user, which Neemans, a new age footwear startup, has cracked beautifully to make more than 100 crores in revenue today.
We used product cycle theory. Let's say आप एक स्नीकर खरीदते हो, तो स्नीकर आपका टिपिकली 4 महीने अच्छे चलता है. 5वें महीने में ऐसा कुछ प्रॉब्लम नहीं आता, बट somehow you feel like पुराना हो जाए. It's a mindset game, right? So we noticed that okay, 3 महीने हो गए. If there is no activity as such, we build some automations around and then we do slight pitches. Let's say आपका product cycle 4 महीने के बाद आपको रिपीट करना होता है. What we used to do is हम लोग सेकंड मंथ से ही आपको कम्युनिकेशन कॉम्स भेजना स्टार्ट कर देते हैं. Either we give you some offers or either we attach a sub product with that. So that not only helps in product adoption because उस बंदे ने already product खरीद लिया. If you send another sub category with an offer, that's predominantly how you also have increased your repeatability. Unlike spamming them, help them. One of the interesting insights which we had was we had a very few women audience, but we noticed that couple of times repeatability बहुत closely हो रहा था within same product buy. Let's say, I went to the website, I bought the product, I used it for first 21 days, and again I'm coming back and buying the product. Same product, right? I was like, क्यों? We did a data analysis and all. We figured out that यार ये पहला size 9 ले रहा था, then second size 6 ले रहा है. So it's like, okay, we don't know female and male audience, but we noticed that 6, 5, 4, these side of foot sizes are typically for women or child. So we thought that, okay, they are either giving it to someone or buying it for their spouse. So in our post, let's say after T plus 20 or 30 day, the day when they purchase the product, we send them, hey, you loved them, why don't you share it with others? That gave us incremental boost. India operates on a very nuclear family. So typically, आपका pair है और आपके partner का pair. So now you have 2 pair. Ultimately, आपके closet में 2 set तो बन गया. Right now, we have actually acquired a second customer without even spending. And now because of product cycle, इसका भी एक product cycle बन गया, उसका भी एक product cycle बन गया.
Awesome. Now that we've understood about the repeatability of the user, let's talk about something very crucial. The positioning of your product. Something Lenskart has cracked beautifully in the Indian market to get the largest share of 25% in India's eyewear market. But before we talk about Lenskart, I have something super special for you. We are hosting the 21st edition of the GrowthX Demo Day, the Mecca of Growth. Now, if you're someone who is into product, marketing, or an early stage founder, this is built for you. In this, you learn how to acquire customers, how to onboard and retain these users on your product, and very importantly, how to convert the free users into paid users. A proper framework of revenue-led growth. The link to grab the pass is in the description. And coming back to the Lenskart's positioning insight.
Many companies create fleeting hype, but they aren't able to create fans or a community or a brand per se. And it's super rare to see a startup making in-house brands succeed at this scale. Brands like Vincent Chase and John Jacobs are in-house brands of Lenskart, and they are doing more revenue than most of the startups today combined. And this strategy is, well, from an investor turned competitor themselves, from the famous playbook of Tata's. It's simple. create separate in-house brands with different values and run them separately. Think about how Westside and Zudio are two different brands with different price points and aspirational value, but from the same parent company, the Tatas. Remember, this is exactly what we spoke about in our Zudio wireframe video. Now, to really crack this, Lenskart invested in the craft of great advertising, be it offline or online. They sold glasses as fashion and not as a necessity. This aspiration of owning more than just one pair of glasses was not something that was ever cracked before by Titan Eye Plus or any other player for that matter. Even their initial campaigns put out the messaging of owning more than just a pair. Today, Lenskart has more than 5,000 styles and they sell their excessive variety as a USP. Because see, the aim was simple, to get recurring sales from the same consumer. They wanted the same consumer to buy more than one pair and then crack repeatability, repeat orders from that customer. They also generated massively high word of mouth. And they did this also by adopting the latest tech, by the way. In fact, they were probably the first ones to get the famous blue cut. They knew that if you have to reach out to the masses, you would have to go the mainstream star route and not via micro-influencers. Even their latest campaign with Karan Johar and Piyush Bansal generated massive traction. And while all of this was reaping great benefits for Lenskart, one of the most pivotal points and something that all of you know and we should mention is the obvious Shark Tank. See, Piyush Bansal used a national massive distribution to become a household name, and people started going to stores to buy the frames that he was wearing on the show. He himself became a brand. So him sharing an ad screen with Karan Johar is not a fluke. Piyush Bansal himself is a star today. See, with this, Lenskart became a much more relatable, fun and approachable brand. Something which was completely missing from Titan Eye Plus's strategy.
Great. Now that we've understood about the repeatability and the positioning of product, next thing something we should discuss is scale. A question that many brands face after reaching a certain level of revenue. Whether you should actually go for a store or not, what kind of store you should go for, and whether it should be a franchisee or a self-owned store. This decision is very important because it affects the trust level with your consumers. And to understand this, we have decoded the strategy used by FabIndia to create trust with their customers for more than 6 decades. And we'll also discuss other models that you can use for your store level execution. Retail models can be categorized based on 2 parameters. One is the ownership parameter and second is the brand exclusivity parameter. Let's understand them one by one. If you take ownership as a parameter for a retail store, you would see 2 main models. One is a company owned and a company operated model known as the COCO model, and other is a franchisee owned and a franchisee operated model known as the FOFO model. In a COCO model, the company does not give franchisees but rather expand on its own by having leases on its own name, having the inventory risk on its own name, and also operating the store by itself. On the other hand, in a FOFO model, the company gives franchisee rights to other people who would own the lease and also own the inventory risk, and this will help the company to expand at a faster rate. By the way, there are also other complex combinations to it where the party taking the ownership risk, which is the lease cost, is someone else, and the party operating the outlet is someone else. This includes the franchisee-owned company-operated model, the FOCO model, and the company-owned franchisee-operated model, the COFO model. And the logic is simple. If a company is super sure about certain strategic locations like prime locations of Indranagar in Bangalore or Connaught Place in Delhi, they prefer owning the lease even if it's a franchise. And brands like Manyavar use the COFO model a lot, where the company owns the store but has delegated the operations to a franchisee. And yeah, this leads to different risk and different commission rates that a franchisee gets. So while a brand like Manyavar has gone for an asset-light model of giving franchisees out, FabIndia has gone for a deliberate capex heavy choice of owning their own stores and also operating them by themselves. That's the reason why they have 2x the number of owned stores as compared to their franchisees. And this obviously makes sense for a brand like theirs, as there's always a chance that the franchisee owners might not ensure the same level of exact experience for customers and the brand name of FabIndia gets diluted. By the way, the company is also making changes to this and moving towards asset-light models as they want to diversify their retail strategy. Now coming to the second model of retail on the basis of brand exclusivity. See, there are broadly 2 types of outlets. One is a multi-brand outlet or a large format store. These are the stores where the brand's product is put along with its competitors under the same roof. And you can think of good examples in this category like Shoppers Stop, Reliance Trends, Lifestyle, Central, and even Pantaloons. The second type of stores are known as exclusive brand outlets. These are the single brand big stores that only have one brand's products exclusively. And many big brands have done this like Adidas, Bata, Manyavar, etc. And both of these models have their own pros and cons. The pro of the multi-brand store is that these stores have high footfall because customers have higher choices as they get access to multiple brands under the same roof. But the con is that each brand gets a very limited shelf space. In the case of exclusive brand outlets, the pro is that the brand only shows its own SKUs in the store and gives customers a grand experience that they want to give. But the con here is that if the brand does not have a loyal set of customers or a higher brand recall, these stores won't work at all and would lead to losses. FabIndia values the brand positioning and customer connection so much that they've been bullish on EBOs since the day one. So much so that these stores drive 80% of their revenue. They want the customer to enter a completely new world when they enter a FabIndia store and show these customers the value of craftsmen and their heritage. That's why they've been so rigid when it comes to the EBO model that they have now the 4th largest EBO network in the country after the brands like Manyavar, Biba and W. And not just that, they have even added roughly 30 experience stores, the huge stores which are like 2 to 3 times bigger. This means that if a regular store is 3,000 square feet big, these stores are 8 to 12,000 square feet bigger and are like the hub of all product categories under one roof, along with additional services, be it customization of apparels, design studio services, kids and play section, and even a fab cafe. The logic is simple. Prioritize customer experience, establish trust, make them fall in love with the quality, and get high conversion and high repeat rates. So now that we've understood about the store models, let's talk about how to crack the execution in these stores. Something that a Tata company, Trent Limited, is doing beautifully as they are making more than 12,000 crores in revenue with Zudio and Westside, with more than 800 store network all across the country. See, both Zudio and Westside are extremely highly efficient stores. By the way, to judge a performance of any retail store, you only need 2 parameters. One is the same store sales growth, which is to judge whether the sales are growing from the same store or not. And second is revenue per square feet, which judges the sales from a particular area of store and judges how efficient your store is. And if you look at the metrics, their same store sales growth has significantly improved over the years. They are making more money from the same stores every year. And if you talk about the second metric, revenue per square feet, they are doing 18,000 rupees per square feet for Zudio and 12,000 rupees per square feet for Westside, which is way above the average of 10,000 rupees per square feet for the industry. But how are they doing it? The answer lies in their private label and fast fashion approach. In fact, this is where the Zara partnership has been most helpful for them. Trent has learned smart fashion from one of the biggest retailers of the world. See, Zara is one company that brought the concept of fast fashion to the world, and it is very simple to understand it. It is a way to get trendy throughout the year by not putting out clothes in front of the customers on monthly basis, but putting out collections in front of the customers on bi-weekly or weekly basis. And this method basically involves producing more clothes at higher speed basis on the basis of quick trends that are happening on the social media and putting out different varieties in front of the customers. So let's say Zara launches a t-shirt on basis of a new trend that's happening on Instagram, and that t-shirt starts selling more. Zara would push more quantity of that t-shirt into the store. And this is exactly how this works. But the downside is that it leads to more cloth wastage, and we'll talk about it some other day. But in a nutshell, they have learned how to execute the concept of fast fashion very well to make sure that they stay relevant for their customers. Also, they have taken the approach of private labeling, where you would not see them selling other brands' products at their own outlets. It's pretty different to the approach that other retailers like Pantaloons and Shoppers Stop have taken. And the idea is simple: make more people come to Westside and Zudio, not for other brands, but for the trust of Westside and Zudio itself. Also, for context, private labeling does not necessarily mean that you manufacture your own stuff too. You can get it manufactured from third parties and smash your own labels over there. It just leads to better margin and also possibility to create bigger in-house brands. Like Westside now has more than 5+ in-house brands for them, which is pretty amazing as people have now started recognizing the brands of Westside separately as well. But there's more to this, as they are successfully cracking another lever too, which very few people are talking about right now, which is cracking the magic of upselling. See, when you go to a West Side store, you go there to buy clothes, right? But you are later upsold perfumes, wallets near the counters, shoes in the end, and many more stuff too. In fact, they even upsell you the West Side membership, which you would probably hardly ever use, but you still might end up buying. And the reason for customers buying these wallets, perfumes, or even membership is simple. See, customers are lazy. You and me both are lazy. If we are shopping at a particular space and we have spent some money, we think that why not spend some more and get done with everything at the same time. And this is where they're doing a great job. In fact, they now have more than 1 crore customers who have bought their Westlife membership and are confident on the brand. Great. Now the question is, how can fashion brands in India leverage not just the offline but also the online channel to build trust? And what should actually be the mix? Because channels influence the level of engagement with your users, something that Caratlane has done phenomenally and probably the reason why Tatas ended up buying them. Here it is.
See, India is a price-sensitive market where a customer thinks more than twice before buying anything. I mean, think about yourself, right? And this is especially when you talk about purchasing something like a jewelry or a watch. It's not like buying a shoe or a t-shirt that wouldn't matter to you if it turns out different or defective. It's just a special purchase. You really want the jewelry to be as good as you thought about it or even better. And in a highly touch and feel category, you can use digital for conversion, but conviction will only happen at physical stores. So Mithun understood this core insight and went on to expand the company's physical footprint. Because once a customer visits a store and gets an idea of the quality and experience, they would not think twice before placing an order on the Caratlane app. So Caratlane went from having 12 stores in 2016 to having 220 plus stores in more than 75 cities right now. That's an 18x jump from 2016. Another masterstroke was this simple line, her Tanishq partnership. Being billboards or stores everywhere, Caratlane was no longer just Caratlane. After the Tata acquisition, it started getting advertised as Caratlane, a Tanishq brand. So Caratlane borrowed the Tata's trust and used it to establish its new brand identity. Now, this was their offline expansion bit and it's great. Now, this turned out to be a major difference between Caratlane and new emerging competitors like Bluestone, who are also following a pretty similar business model. In fact, Bluestone even raised funds from one of the biggest Indian VCs, Axel. But what it didn't have was a Tanishq brand backing. Also, while this was happening, all of Caratlane's other prior services like try at home for free, lifetime exchange guarantees, 30-day money back, and certifications from institutions were just a cherry on the cake. But while trust building was important, Mithun and team had an interesting user insight. And that's the second thing that the trio cracked. See, Mithun's team wanted to be the SaaS of the jewelry market. But how is that possible? He wanted to have a repeat rate as high as often seen in SaaS businesses. See, the repeat rate of customers for any Indian jeweler on an average is about 4 to 5%. But Caratlane went on to achieve a massive 25% customer repeat rate, which is 5 times the industry average. Now, this is not just by chance. There's an actual insight at play here. Let me tell you how, and this is where things get interesting. See, Mithun knew that they wanted to build for the new India. They didn't want to build jewelry for weddings. Their ideal customers were people who don't buy jewelry only for big occasions like weddings or engagements, but will buy jewelry for repeated smaller occasions like anniversaries, birthdays, promotions, etc.
Awesome. While this is insightful for scaling, let's talk about something very basic, right? How can a new age startup actually scale fast in the fashion space? How many products a startup should launch? And for this, I want you to deeply understand the approach Comet, a sneaker startup, has taken. The classic one SKU approach. See, Comet is a pure online D2C brand. They don't even have a single operating store. Not only they don't want to invest resources into multiple channels, but they also don't want to invest resources in creating 100 shows and offer excessive variety to their customers. And if you look closely at Comet, they literally have just 4 types of silhouettes for the customers. By the way, silhouettes is basically a term that refers to the fundamental form or shape of any footwear. So the 2 shoes that you see on screen right now have same silhouette but different colors. And Comet has only 4 silhouettes, 3 in the shoe categories, which is X lows, X highs and Aeon, and 1 in the slipper category, that is slides. And they offer pretty interesting designs in each of these. See, Comet did not want to be a Me Too brand. They wanted to create a cult among people who would wear them and flaunt these shoes. So they focus a lot on perfection. Their idea is to make the user identify the brand within just a few seconds. And just look at all the successful brands like Adidas, Nike or Puma. You can easily identify Nike, Puma and Adidas with their extremely recognizable logos. And just hear Dishant talking about this.
If you are a brand which makes 10 products in a year, you will start compromising because the focus of the company and the team is only limited. But when you know this is my product and this will be available in different colors, you can really focus on optimizing for both comfort and fit of that product.
And this one SKU focus solved for a great rule for them, which is do excessive R&D to launch one shoe at a time, collect customer feedback to make changes, launch more designs and create more brand love. Their obsessions on R&D is the reason why they also make their own soles, by the way, which is something only few brands do in India. In fact, this few shoe approach also helps in economies of scale, since there are only 3 to 4 models, which would make it easier for the factory workers to do the same thing repeatedly over and over again, because there are a lot of steps in making a shoe, be it cutting, stitching, pasting, assembling or even molding. If the model is same, the workers would be able to do it faster and with better accuracy. Great. Now we have clarity on 6 of the most important insights by all of these giants. Let's talk about the last insight, which is an extremely important one, by the way. How can a brand actually nurture relationship with its customers and generate dopamine among different cycles of interaction? Something that BlissClub has done really well through their communities.
Whenever you aspire to buy, let's say Neemans or Ultra Human or Bummer for that case, it is like, yaar, मेरे को खरीदना है, but then you go into loopholes and then you suddenly buy it. The best moment is that. The biggest dopamine rush happens there. The second one happens when they actually get the product. And the third one is when they actually use it.
See, as Sanmay said, there are 3 dopamine hits when it comes to D2C brands solving for product option. First, when they buy the product. Second, when they receive it. And third, when they use it for the first time. Now, the weird problem that brands face is customers not using these products that they want. Now, here's where the BlissClub events come in. All of them are short, addictive experiences, but just a very subtle way for getting women to come out, wear their BlissClub apparel, see how great the product works, and in short, adopt their BlissClub product quickly. You see what happened here. BlissClub took this 3 dopamine hit cycle and shrunk it, resulting in a way better product adoption and then converting their users into evangelists of their brand.
And this was all. Some of the key insights used by some of the biggest and fastest growing fashion brands in India that helped them make more than 20,000 crores in revenue cumulatively. The idea behind making this video was simple: to cover the insights that have worked for the biggest legacy brands, but have also worked for the new age D2C startups, so that anyone who is starting out or trying to scale a fashion brand in India can take some insights and implement these insights into their business. If you like this video, you would definitely love the last video we did on Trent Limited, a Tata company that is behind scaling Zara, Zudio and even Westside. Don't forget to sign up for the demo day. I'll see you there, and I'll also see you next week with another episode. Ciao.